Hello, welcome to Talk a Good Game, and it's match preview Bournemouth against West Ham United. Still technically a relegation battling game, although one of the two looks a little bit safer than the other one. However, both have made progress in recent weeks. Gonzo, may you kick us off with your thoughts on Bournemouth, please?
Yeah, I've got to come clean. Early on, I got a soft spot for Bournemouth. When I was 13, as a family, we moved from Ilford to Bournemouth. So so a lot of my friends who I made friends down in Bournemouth were Bournemouth fans as well. So I remember going watching them a few times, and when Harry was in charge, and Ian Bishop played for him as well. So I got a soft spot for the club. Love the club. Love the area. Just make it clear. If I'm a little bit biased, that's probably why. Absolutely love them. I think they've done tremendously well. I think it benefits me having seen them all those years ago. Sometimes you get used to teams being up and around, and you sort of forget how miraculous it is that it's up there. Bournemouth have got no right being in the top division, and no one in the area would have expected it or anything like it. So the fact that they're up there is miraculous in its own sense. It is a small club. It is a community club in every sense of the word. So they've done really, really well to stay up there this season. I like what they've done, and the new ownership's come in, and new investors or whatever. And I like what they've done. They thought, we'll keep Gary O'Neill in there, and I like it. I like it. I really do. There's just I think the whole thing is a pretty good story, and I wish him well as well. So obviously not for this game, but I don't think it matters. I we can beat Bournemouth in this game, and I think Bournemouth will still be fine because they can lose a game and they can bounce back. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with what's going on at that club.
I do not have a soft spot for Bournemouth. I've got nothing against them either. I just do not have any connections to them like Gonzo does. I think it's a small club with a big story, and there's a little bit of romance to it as well with what Eddie Howe did, taking them from League Two all the way up to the Premier League. And when they went down, I felt like that was maybe it kind of thing. I thought, oh well, they've almost had their day in the sun kind of thing. For them to come back up again, I've been pleasantly surprised because they don't necessarily have the facilities of some of the more heavyweights that get relegated from the Premier League that go down, and they can say it's all right, we can spend big money for the next couple of seasons and get back up again. And Bournemouth didn't really have that about them. And I think they're a club that's taken a few gambles this season, and it's paying off. One of them being Gary O'Neill, but also sacking Scott Parker because he sort of didn't buy into the club's blueprint, what the club wanted to do, their ethos. No, this is what we do. We don't have loads of money to spend. And when they've got a manager going on the interview after every game, mugging them off, saying, well, this team's not good enough for the Premier League, we need to spend money. Well, actually, it's a case of, right, well, out you get kind of thing. We're going to get someone that does believe that the team's good enough. And I think the team have shown Scott Parker that they were actually good enough to stay in the Premier League. And if they were to have got relegated with him, perhaps it was a manager that wasn't necessarily good enough, because I think I've been incredibly impressed by what they've done this season. I've been incredibly impressed by what Gary O'Neill does. And whenever they look like they were having a blip when they played us in the reverse fixture, it looked like maybe the writing was going to be on the wall for Gary O'Neill because he had no credit in the bank. He had nothing. There was no evidence that he was going to succeed as manager of Bournemouth. So when he was doing well, I was like, hey, happy days. But as soon as it started to go bad, it was like, well, this is what happens when you don't have a proper manager in charge of your club. But they stuck by him. I think they could have easily have sort of dismissed him then during the World Cup or something, said, right, thanks for that, Gary. We're going to get someone in now that's going to avoid relegation. But they gambled, and they gambled in January, got in a couple of players that I think have made a big difference to them. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen loads of them this season. Don't know why, considering how much Premier League football I watch. I just don't think they're also clearly not on TV as much as the other clubs, because I feel when we went to record this, I don't think I've seen enough of them. I've seen them play Tottenham last weekend when they beat Liverpool, but the games are few and far between that I've seen 90 minutes of Bournemouth. Do you think they're safe, Gonzo? Let's just flash the league table up here for you. There's Bournemouth sitting 14th in the league table, 33 points after 31 games, 6 points ahead of relegation. But the one thing they do have, which we don't, is a bit of a scary goal difference, I guess, with that minus 28, the third worst goal difference in the Premier League. But points tally-wise, they don't appear to be far off what you'd imagine is the number.
No, I think they're one win off. I think they're infinitely capable of getting it. And the other thing you'll notice from the graphic that you just flashed up there was the amount of green on it. And I think when you start looking at the bottom 4 clubs, you start looking at the amount of red on it. Now, of course, green is good form, red is bad form, and I think that tells its own story. And that's only the last 5 games. If you go back since World Cup time, if you like, Bournemouth have had some green in there. They really have. And if they lose a game, they tend to have the ability to bounce back as well, which is really good. They've had games. I mean, the Arsenal game was a classic example of Bournemouth's, let's go with bounce back ability. We don't use that very often, do we? And they can be hard done by sometimes, and then they can still come through and perform really, really well. So I think one game, and also we've looked at this, Geo. We did a video on this very channel a day or 2 ago about the relegation situation. And the more we sort of looked into it, and we looked at Leicester, and we looked at Everton, we looked at a few of them, that's a hell of a... We were looking at it through the prism of West Ham. If you look at Bournemouth, who are above us and doing better than us, that's a hell of a task, I think, for any of those clubs to overhaul Bournemouth. I think they're very, very safe, and I'm very pleased about that.
Yeah, I think they're very safe too. And there's another aspect to consider ahead of this game, but we'll get onto that in the second half of the show. One thing that interests me, Gonzo, obviously at this time of year now, as we approach over 30 games, team of the season starts coming up. Who's going to make the team of the season stuff? And naturally, the manager of the season or manager of the year it's called, but that conversation comes up now. Obviously, it feels like if Arsenal win the title, Arteta will win it, and there's obviously some big contenders in there with how, if he gets Newcastle into the top 4, what Unai Emery's done, Aston Villa, De Zerbi at Brighton as well. But one manager I don't think is getting the recognition is Gary O'Neill. I don't see his name coming up very often, and I think Marco Silva as well to some extent. But I think what O'Neill's doing, bearing in mind his lack of experience, I think is a tremendous job, and it's certainly been my top 3 for manager of the year, I think.
Yeah, I can't claim to have given it any thought whatsoever. What I would say is listen to him when they lose. Listen to his interviews. Listen to the way he speaks. I understand there's going to be no expectation on him, so it's not like he has to deflect a load of pressure. But people are going to expect Bournemouth to lose football matches in the Premier League, and quite rightly so. They're a tiny club. But the way he... Look, he's either telling the truth or he's bluffing. I'll tell you what, if he's bluffing, he's got a bloody good poker face, because I believe him. Because he very much says, you know what, I think we did a lot right today. I think we every chance of winning the next match if we play like that. He's very upbeat with it. He's pleased to be there. I've spoken numerous times this season when things have not gone right for West Ham. And I've said about David Moyes, he doesn't want to do the interviews. He looks tired. He looks like he'd almost be anywhere else other than managing a football club. He looks like a man that sort of needed a break in many respects. We discussed it. We discussed other managers who carry that demeanour. He's excited to be there. He wants to be a Premier League manager. And if his messaging is half as convincing to the players as it is, whether you hear it as just a football viewer watching it on the telly or whatever, then I'm sure he does a very, very good job. I'm sure he leaves that dressing room thinking that they can win, or at least compete in every game. And you know what? As long as they compete, even if they don't win, well, that's no problem, because if we play like that, we'll win more than we lose. That's his messaging. I know a lot of people say it. From a lot of managers, it sounds like a cliche. From him, it sounds like a tactic, and it sounds believable.
Yeah, Gary O'Neill for manager of the year, I say. I think it's just the expectation. I thought they'd be relegated. I'm just say surprised. I'm not anymore, because they've been pretty good from the start of the season. But before the ball was kicked, I had them, and to be fair, I had Fulham as well. I was almost dead search to go down. Then I was lingering between Wolves and Southampton as to which one I thought was going to go through the trapdoor with them. So I got those 2 clubs massively wrong. And I think every time I watch Bournemouth, I still get surprised. I'm maybe a bit naive, but I still get surprised by Bournemouth results. When they get a win, I go, whoa, okay, well, nice one with that one. I don't know why, considering the evidence that we've seen this season that they are capable of picking up the points. But it does feel like a big summer for them, Gonzo, if they stay up, which we're expecting them to. I do think the expectation changes for next season, because while they're not like a solid Premier League club, it's a case of, well, you've had a year now. O'Neill's now got that bit of experience. Your players now are Premier League players. Now what you're going to do, kind of thing. And I think it increases the pressure next season. So do you feel like it's a big summer for them if they remain in the Premier League?
Well, we don't know what they're like at buying players yet, do we? We suspect, and we've spoken about O'Neill. He seems like a good man manager. Tactically, he's good. Round pegs in round holes. Vast team. And I think, to be fair, at the start of the season, I thought they'd go down, but but from the moment Parker left and I first saw them, I've not been in any doubt that they would stay up. And I really haven't, because of the brand of football that they play and because of the pace. And so we know this we know now. Can they buy players and can they integrate them, select them, fit them into it? We just don't know. It is going to be a big summer, but it's not the end of the world if a club like Bournemouth goes down, because what they can do is they can invest in the infrastructure. It's not, they haven't got all this liability that a club like West Ham have got, for instance. It's a small, neat little stadium, lovely stadium, which they'll pack out in the Championship as well. They'll have enough going on with their young players and the players that they've recruited. Their wages won't be prohibitive that there's going to suddenly throw them into administration or liquidation. They won't find themselves falling foul of FFP rules and all that stuff. They'd be absolutely fine. So is it a big summer? It's an important summer, but it's not a club defining summer. Like for some, it might be. Like Leeds going down is an issue.
Everton could put them bust.
Great point. Great example. Yeah, absolutely.
Players you admire?
Oh, I mean, Billings played so well. I mean, he's but he was at Wigan. I think he was at Wigan. Was he?
Huddersfield.
Sorry, it was Huddersfield. Yeah, it was. Yeah, similar kit. All look the same, don't they? The old blue and white stripes.
Basically, one of those clubs that were pretty crap and got relegated.
Yeah, well, blue and white stripes. That's what I'm going for. Sheffield United, all the same, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, really good. And then, but he sort of dipped a bit after he got a transfer. And he looked like he was going to be a really good player. Anyway, he's been metamorphosized under O'Neill. Really, I think he's pushed him a little bit further forward. And he's unplayable. He's such an athlete, and he's got ability as well. 6'5", something like that. Honestly, he's like a. What's that heavy? He's like a cruiserweight boxer, in that sense. He'd be very hard to shift off the ball. He's playing like Loftus-Cheek. Basically, that's what Loftus-Cheek should have ended up being, like Philip Billing is now, basically. And he is. I think he's unplayable. I'm still unconvinced about Slanky, but he fits well in this system. I almost think it's the perfect manager, the perfect club, and the perfect system for his attributes, because again, he's quick and he's quite physically strong. He was never a 19 million. When Liverpool did well to get 19 million for him, when they did, Eddie Howe definitely overpaid them.
But he's better value than Jordan Ibe.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Absolutely. Yeah, did all right, didn't they? And I like well, depending on whether you're French or whether you're English, you say potato, I say potato, and the commentators say Tavernier. I think it might be Tavernier, and I like him. He's good, and I think the guy is called Anthony. Now, doesn't always start, but whenever I see him play, I think, oh, he's good. He's good. So I liked it there. Oh, great. What's his name? David Brooke. Is it Brooks? What a great story. Recovered from cancer. He's got back. He's all right. He's not playing regular first team football, but he's made some appearances. He's appearing on a bench. He's made substitute appearances. I think that is one of the all-time wonderful football stories. We're all delighted to hear that as well. But the one thing I would say about him, he seems to be able to put almost any players that he's got fit within his system. And again, that's testament to the manager.
I haven't seen enough of them to really say too much. The one player that there's the two that have intrigued me recently is Rothwell, who I think they got from Blackburn, because we were linked with him. I think he was on a free possibly, and he's looked quite good in the last couple of games I've seen them play. And is it Utara? Is that how you say his name? The guy that got the winner against Spurs last week, again pacey down that left hand side, and he looked tricky. Billing. I remember when Bournemouth went down, he was someone I wouldn't have minded. And then I hate saying this because Bournemouth fans might be listening. I'm sure Bournemouth fans were fed up with him when they got relegated, and there was a distinct lack of effort. When he went away and played the Euros or whatever it was that summer, he wasn't particularly great for his country either. And it felt like there was a bit of an attitude problem there, and it put me off him massively because before that, when he was at Huddersfield, I really liked him. But this season, he's been terrific. I think he's got 7 goals now in the Premier League. Their top goal scorer, and he is a threat from whenever you see them play. If you said to me who's going to score for Bournemouth this weekend, Billing is the answer. And it's not often that you choose the non-striker guy in the team, but that is him. And I suppose I agree with what you're saying. I don't think Solanke, funny enough, another Bournemouth player, is a bit like the Josh King for me, which is like sort of okay for the Premier League, but sort of not okay for the Premier League. 1 week he's good at occupying defenders and that, but he's a good striker, but not a good goal scorer. That's maybe how I would sum up Solanke. But I've not seen enough. I've seen they had a falling out with Zamora, which is somebody I would have quite liked at West Ham, but wouldn't have signed a new deal, so they sort of banished him to the under-21s. And signed a contract with Udinese now, hasn't he? He's off there. But I like that management from O'Neill. I like that, which is you're not committed, even though they're in a bit of a especially back then, they were in a relegation battle. So it was a case of, no, I'm not having this. I'm not having somebody that puts themselves before the club, whatever, out the team kind of thing. We're going to play players that are committed to Bournemouth. And I quite like that. I think that's a good thing. It was a brave call from O'Neill. That's a big decision to make for a manager who's probably just experienced it for the first time, this player wanting out kind of thing. So how are you going to handle it, Gaffer? We'll boot him in on the 21s and we'll just play Kelly at left back kind of thing. So fair play, Gary O'Neill. Right, time to talk about West Ham and early team news is only Skamakis missing. Obviously, Ogbonna missed the game on Thursday night, but that was due to suspension. But Nath Agard, who missed the Arsenal game, was back for West Ham on Thursday evening. So David Moyes is going to have such a big squad to choose from that he's going to have to leave out 1 or 2 senior players, perhaps, from the bench. So good news in that regard. Gonzo, let's talk about the team you wish to see on Sunday. Fabianski in goal?
No, Ariola in goal for all the same reasons. I don't think there's anything between them in terms of being a goalkeeper, and I think one's a lot better at distributing. So, Ariola for me. But always Ariola, pretty much.
Fabianski for me. Back 4.
What would be Sufal, Zuma, Agard, unlucky Kera. I'm
Tilo Kera.
So I mean, and it is a little bit unlucky there for him, certainly. And then I would probably put Cresswell in there, but it wouldn't take much for me to change. To put Kera in for Gerd. They've both had their mistakes. They both had their poor games this season, haven't they? So, but you know what? I thought obviously Kera was really, really good against Arsenal, which I guess is probably a bit more credit than being good against Ghent. But there was a bit of really raw outright pace from Agard, which was displayed against Allbrand for Ghent, but I think we might need that outright recovery pace. I'm not saying Kera's slow, but he's not as fast as Agard. So, for that reason, he's in the Cresswell effect.
The Tilo Kera for me, I just think his shirt's not up for grabs. Sorry, Agard, mate, but you were poor previous to Ghent. You were not being in the greatest of form either. A couple of good games, a couple of bad ones. Kera got his opportunity against Arsenal. I thought he grabbed it with both hands. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ogbonna start. I mean, Moyes has got a real big decision on his hand here as to who partners Kurt Zouma, because Ogbonna's not really done anything wrong either. So he's got 3 centre-backs. Arguably, their previous performance has all been a really good one. So there's plenty of options for him. And I agree with you with Cresswell at left-back. Good game against Fulham, good game against Arsenal. Emerson didn't impress me against Ghent, so I think Cresswell goes in there. Into midfield, I mean, I think there's a decision to be made in here as well. I know what you're going to go for, but I'm just not convinced by who you're going to read out second on your list.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, you're not going to mix it up now, aren't you?
I was actually going to be a bit naughty then. Look, Souček has played, just played 90 minutes. He wasn't the ones that got rested, so I do wonder what Moyes is going to do there. I know he's the Duracell bunny and all the rest of it, and it can keep going. But I do wonder what Moyes is going to do there. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play Downs, Rice, and Paqueta in there. I thought against Ghent, Downs looked really good when he came on. I really do. So I want to see him. I want him to play. I think our football would improve as a result, and I think he'd do all the stuff that Souček does defensively.
Yeah, Rice and Paqueta certainly. The reason I'm not convinced on Downs for this one is I just don't think it's the right game for him. I think there's going to be a bit of an emphasis on us with the ball, saying what you're going to do, how you're going to break us down kind of thing. And I just don't want to get too, not static, but just Downs doesn't have that. Downs does not have anything in the final third of the pitch. There's
No.
no creativity from him. That's not his gig. His gig, protecting the back four, breaking up the play, keeping possession neat and tidy, keeping it simple, giving the ball to those that can create. Give it to Paqueta, give it to Ben Rama. And I'm not sure we need someone like that on Sunday. And with the greatest of respect to Bournemouth, from what I have seen, they're not the most attacking team. They do sit back. They are hard to break down. That's why when I see people say, "Oh, look what happens if you turn up and attack Tottenham," I thought, well, I watched a completely different game because yes, they won and it was a good result and got the 3 goals. They certainly didn't throw the kitchen sink at Spurs. There was a lot of defending by Bournemouth in that game, and I thought Tottenham had the bigger chances and the better chances and the more chances, but Bournemouth got the 3 points, and I just think that sometimes the scorelines can be a little bit misleading in terms of how the game was actually played out. And I just don't think Downs is the right player. But who else? I don't think Souček's the right player because he doesn't have that creativity. So that leaves 2 more. That leaves Lanzini and Fornals. Neither of them deserve it. Neither of them are in good nick at the minute. They both had some opportunities here and there, somewhat maybe not the best opportunity, but. And you have to make it count. If you're only going to get 15, 20 minutes, you've got to do something in that 15, 20 minutes. It just says, look, Gaffer, I deserve to play. Downs does it. Downs gets 20 minutes. He impresses. He comes on in that 20 minutes. He does what he's supposed to do. He says, look, hey, I'm an option for the next game. He impresses. But I don't know. I'd probably go Lanzini for this one. But it's more of not a last hurrah, but it's very much a leap of faith to some extent. And a process of elimination, I don't like selecting players by process of elimination because it's like who's the best of a bad bunch. But that's what I feel like in centre midfield. It's between Fornals and Lanzini because I just think we need that extra creativity in there. And our front three is probably going to be the same, but talk me through yours, please.
Bowen, Antonio and Cornet. I think Ben Rama didn't do enough. Thought he was too wasteful with his crosses and his passes in the first half. He picked it up a bit in the second half. And I just think he's, Cornet is going to got some part to play. I think he's lacking match sharpness. And I think he needs to play now to get him ready for games when we might need him there. So, and he just hasn't played. He's not going to be, he lacks match sharpness and he's not fatigued. So there's good enough reason to play him there. Ben Rama as a bench option, to come off there. Do we play Liverpool the Wednesday after?
Yeah, we play Wednesday.
Yeah, this has all got to be taken into account. So, I'd start with Cornet.
I would as well. Bowen, Antonio, and Cornet for me. Ben Mama's not impressed me last 2 or 3 games. He's done okay. He's not been bad. He's not been poor. But this is where we're in good nick at the minute. West Ham are in good form. 1 loss in 9 in all competitions. That is, however you want to dice it up, that's really good form at the minute. Therefore, the standards are increasing a little bit. That's why I'm not happy with Souček or Downs in midfield. No, I want a bit more than that. I want a bit better than that. And it's the same with Ben Rama. I just think, well, we need a bit more. And we can't just go the rest of the season playing Bowen, Antonio, and Ben Rama. We can't. It's impossible. We've got far too much fixtures. And that's without the European football as well. We've got too much games. We need a little bit of rotation in there. And the only viable option at the minute is Maxwell Cornet because for the reasons I've explained about Fornals, Ings isn't an option to play up there. He won't play Mubama, and I understand why, by the way. I know why he won't play Mubama up front. So the only option is Cornet. Well, we better start using him sooner rather than later because while I wasn't impressed by Fornals and Cornet last night against Ghent, they're both lacking, like you said, match sharpness, game time. They're lacking the minutes. There's a element of frustration in Fornals' game last night. He looked pissed off. He was before he even stepped on the foot on the pitch. He did not look happy. He was coming on as a substitute. I think being a sub's one thing, but then getting on once the game's won with only 50 minutes to go, and basically you're coming on to give the other guy rest.
Yes,
it's not a particular
no
endorsement for you as a footballer. I can understand why he's probably a bit miffed. He's probably stood there thinking, this time last year I was starting against Lyon in the quarterfinal Europa League. Now here I am waiting for Ben Rama to take 10 minutes to come off the pitch for my 15-minute cameo. Cornet, is a draw good enough, Gonzo? Now, before you answer this, the advantage for both of us on West Ham and Bournemouth, not me and you, for Sundays, we will know the results of the other games. So before we play on Sunday, Arsenal play Southampton tonight, Friday night. And then tomorrow, Crystal Palace play Everton, Leicester play Wolves, Liverpool play Forest, and Fulham play Leeds. So there's every possibility that the teams below West Ham will lose before we play on Sunday. So I guess it depends on the outcome of the other games. But in theory, with what you predict to happen in those games, do you think a draw is possibly enough for West Ham on Sunday?
Actually, I do. Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if both managers have that attitude as well. That being said, that would go against. That would be a contradiction to what I said about Gary O'Neill earlier. However, maybe there comes a point in his own. I don't know him; he's not my mate, so I can't say how he speaks, but how he thinks. But I would imagine there comes a point in time where he thinks, "Hold on, keeping Bournemouth up is a really, really good thing here." And I just wonder if he's, rather than eyeing Wolves and Crystal Palace who are above him, is he just going to think, let's just keep ourselves safe? And I think we will see an organised backline from O'Neill as well. I think, for the reasons that I mentioned in the build-up to the Ghent game, I think Moyes will pick close to his strongest team for this game. And I don't think you'll see the high-energy pressing that you saw against Arsenal, because I think he'll be aware of fatigue levels. So I think we'll probably sit back and we will try. Look, he'll want to win the game on the break, absolutely. But I think he'll be going in this thinking, do you know what? If we can get a draw here, have 32 points with 7 games remaining, and be on minus 12 goal difference compared to some of the others, I think he'll take it. And I certainly think for Bournemouth, they'll be thinking, hold on, I might have minus 28 goal difference, but they'd be around 34 points. You could almost argue another draw or 2 after that would do it for them. So I don't think it's the worst result in the world.
Yeah, I agree. It also depends. Like I said, it depends on the results elsewhere. Because if somehow if Everton beat Palace, Leicester beat Wolves, Forest beat Liverpool, and Leeds beat Fulham, suddenly a draw is not good enough, right? But if those results play out as we expect, I think a draw is adequate for both teams here. I think Bournemouth's next 2 games is Leeds and Southampton as well. So arguably, this is the toughest game of their next 3. The next 2 are more winnable. So I'd imagine. I don't think either side will necessarily play for the draw, but I'd imagine come the 70th minute mark, like you said, and it's 1-1 or 0-0, whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if both managers start to say, right, let's just protect what we've got. We'll take the draw and we'll leave here, kind of thing. And it sets us up because we've got 5 Premier League games before we play Alkmaar. Now, some of them are difficult. We've got Man City in there. We've got Liverpool, Man United, but we've also got Bournemouth and Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I think we need 4 points. And it doesn't feel like an unrealistic target. I think if we can get 4 points out of those 5 games, I think we can go into Alkmaar. And I'm not saying that makes us safe, by the way. I think what that does is we go into Alkmaar feeling relatively comfortable with our Premier League status, and we can perhaps shift the focus on European football a little bit. 6 points would be safety for us. But I think 4 is a minimum baseline to get there. Are you confident? Usually I get a bit of a vibe from you, but I'm not getting one today.
Oh, no, poker face, you suggest?
No, you're not. There's no poker face. I think you're just complimentary about both teams at the minute, and it feels like I think we're both going to go for the exact same score prediction here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sorry, am I confident? Well, I'm actually quite confident of my score prediction, actually, and my result. Sorry, not score prediction, my result prediction. Yeah, I do, for all the reasons that we've discussed. I think we can beat them, but I do think that there's an energy that you're going to lose. That has to take something out of you. Playing the whole occasion against Ghent, the stadium, the Declan Rice solo goal, the West Ham are massive again stuff, the David Moyes doing his little dance, which wasn't a dance, and all of that stuff is elation. That's an absolute high. And there's bound to be a little bit of a hangover after that. I just think it's human nature. And it's for all the lovely things I said about Bournemouth, it ain't the same going and playing Bournemouth away as it is playing a quarter final in Europe at your home stadium with whatever 60,000 fans and all the rest of it. So I'm not sure our energy levels will be up. So I'm finding it hard to imagine us really going for Bournemouth like we went for Arsenal, for instance, or like we did in the second half against Ghent. I'm not sure we see that West Ham in this game. But I am still confident in our ability to probably keep it relatively tight at the back.
I actually think the opposite. I think we'll be buzzing. I think the adrenaline will be going. I think because the season's been so poor thus far, had we been like this, last season, the first half of the season was really good. And then the second half of the season, in terms of the league form, wasn't great, but we had that
Yeah.
European run. So I think there was almost like a feel-good factor from the start to the finish of the campaign until the season came to an end, really, because there was really good things happening. This season has been none of that up until the last week. Up
Yeah.
until a week ago, it's been pretty miserable. Even when we've been winning games, we scraped against Southampton, scraped against Fulham. Not saying they would have imposter syndrome, but there would have been an element of we got the win, but bloody hell, we were lucky there. But after the Arsenal game, you could see how happy they were. Last night, you could see the smiles on all the players' faces, and they were enjoying their football. And it's probably one of the first times this season I felt like the players, they were doing stuff, skills and stuff we've never seen before, little passes. We've not seen that all season. They were enjoying themselves out there. And I think they would have, some of those players probably didn't want the final whistle to come. Rice and Antonio Zuma got taken off. They would have probably been like, I want to stay. I understand it, Gaffer. I want to stay out there. It's a good game. We're having fun here. This is enjoyment. I think we're going to see us start quick on Sunday. I think we will. We basically had 180 minutes of really good football, bar 5 minutes against Arsenal. I think we'll continue that. Sure, towards the end of the game, we might see the fatigue kick in, but I think the mental sort of feel-good factor will lift the players.
I like it. It's a good. I like what you say. It's a good theory.
I think
like
so. Moyes doesn't even have to do a team talk. Just do what you did on Thursday, lads. Just go out there. Just continue what you were doing. It's done. It's an easy. It's picking his team, right? Look at the team we've picked. It's easy. Soufal, he's in great form. Zuma, great form. Pick a centre-back, great form. Creswell, good games. Rice, come on. After what he did on Thursday, he'll be itching to get out there. Paqueta, playing his best stuff we've seen yet in a West Ham shirt. Bowen's back in England form. Antonio scored a couple of goals. We've got like 9 players at least in good form at the minute going into this game. I think we'll see it. I do. But Bournemouth are tricky customers. So with that in mind, can I get any final words and your score prediction? I've guessed your score prediction because it's the same as mine.
Geo, you know what? I like it. I like what you're saying. That was motivational stuff. I was rousing, actually. I like it. Bowen in form, pushing for England contention. Paqueta,
hey, 2 days in a row, you've got to say me.
Quite right too. That's not happened for a while. Paqueta doing his tricks and his flicks. Antonio's back in form. That the players are buzzing. They have 180 minutes of fantastic football. The dressing room's a happy place. No team talk for David Moyes. The training ground's buzzing. I hear what you're saying. I absolutely love it, Geo. And do you know what? You've got me convinced. Oh, so for that reason, Bournemouth 0, West Ham 0. There you go.
1-1. That's my score prediction. I think a draw. I think because of how I think Saturday's going to go and tonight, I think Arsenal beat Southampton comfortably. I mean, I'm not even, in all honesty, Southampton could win. I'm not that bothered by them anymore. I think they're too far away. But the other ones, I think some of the results will go in our favour. And I think we'll go into Sunday pressure off a little bit. Like I said, draw could actually be the best result of the weekend here. And it's suits Bournemouth as well as it suits West Ham, which is important. If we were playing Leicester, they wouldn't accept the draw, but we're not. We're playing Bournemouth, who are in a comfortable position at the minute, and they're not that far away from Premier League safety, not mathematically, but practically. And yeah, so there you go. 1-1 is my score prediction. If you've enjoyed this preview at home, please do help the channel out by clicking the thumbs up button underneath the video, and also subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat by clicking that big red button that says subscribe. Both are completely free and it helps us out a lot. Myself and Gonzo will catch up with you on Sunday afternoon, 12:55. We shall be live with the build-up show. We'll catch you then.